And now, prepare yourself for the final battle.
Listeners everywhere, welcome to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan, the weekly fix for your screen addiction and a trusted source for discussion of all things film and television. Please keep in mind that for the purposes of this podcast, Joel and Ryan are not acting as journalists, but rather fellow moving picture enthusiasts. All of their opinions should be taken as such. Also, please be warned that while Joel and Ryan may seem like petulant children, they are, in fact, adults who may occasionally use adult language. While they promise to bleep out all the worst words, it's a good bet you will still understand what they were saying. And now, with no further ado, here's Joel and Ryan.
Let's also make sure we've come a long way, listeners. We've been talking about some deep dives into the V miniseries, both the original and the final battle. When we come to the end, like every good thing, it's got to end. That is why we welcome you to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. I am Joel.
And I am speechless.
And I'm turned on, that music. Come on.
There we go.
Words fail me. The love making. Too bad we didn't have that last week when we actually discussed the multiple love scenes.
But it is timeless.
But there you have it. That's really it. And oh my goodness.
It's delightful. Welcome to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. Once again, I am Joel.
And I'm Ryan.
I'm Michael.
That's right. Pretty soon, going to be getting a full-fledged own title graphic. Who knows? Because he's probably just going to end up being on every show from now on. But joining us once again, Michael Klug. How you feeling, Michael? We were talking before we hit record here. As excited as we are.
I'm really sad that these 5 episodes of just longer than the actual series itself in runtime is coming to an end.
That's really both of our listeners feel the same, I'm pretty sure.
That's true. All right. Well, it's
bittersweet, just like the ending of V: The Final Battle.
Yep.
But it is left open-ended.
Is it?
Yeah, open-end-ish. All right, so let's get you, dear listener, and if you are watching this on the YouTube channel, dear viewer, but before we jump into our final deep dive of V: The Final Battle, let's get you caught up on what you've missed in parts 1 and 2.
A year ago, the visitors arrived. Now, their evil mission has been discovered. They are not here to promote interplanetary peace. The aliens are here to rob our planet of water at the rate of 1 million gallons per second. And they're here to export another commodity to their planet.
It's a processing plant. They're shipping food.
Juliet Parrish and Mike Dunham lead a ragged troop of resistors who have tried to put an end to the visitors' mission.
Go back!
Most attempts have failed, but Donovan has found some aliens to be different.
I want to help you.
Martin, one of many alien turncoat rebels, schemed with the resistors to expose John, the visitor spokesman, during a live television address to the world.
The visitors are not our friends. They've come to rape our planet and kill us. They are not who they appear to be.
The truth was out. But not all of the resistors escaped.
Get out! You need an attitude adjustment, my dear.
Juliet fell into the evil hands of the alien leader, Diana, whose goal was to convert her into a traitor of her own people. Before the conversion was complete, Juliet was rescued. But this is a war where everything you can imagine happens. And when Diana thought her enemy was dead, she found it was an alien rebel in disguise.
One of my own people tried to kill me.
The real Donovan was scheming his own attack on Earth, when the resistors were finally able to get Julie back. At last, Juliet and Donovan were reunited. But her fellow resistors feared she was now an alien conspirator.
Tell us about the secret you told them.
I told them nothing.
Juliet was able to prove her allegiance by commanding a successful raid on the alien water pumping station. Diana, however, had a plan to strike back, this time at Donovan. The visitors announced that his son, Sean, was being held hostage. The ransom was Donovan himself. Diana forced him to talk, to betray his own allies.
Who is your contact?
Martin.
Back on Earth, Juliet and the resistors awaited the birth of Robin's baby, the result of the first interplanetary mating ever. The baby looked human, but then... And to everyone's surprise, Robin had twins. Prepare yourself for the shocking conclusion of V, the final battle.
There you go.
Okay, well, the question is that they actually aired that prior to the first or to the third installment?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? We
That
could
was
have
like-
streamed all of season 4 of Dexter during that.
Yep.
I mean,
Well,
that
that just
people
tells you-
these days, they don't even have theme songs or anything because nobody
know.
can pay attention for anything for 2 seconds. That's even some of those late season Game of Thrones recaps, which were really long. That just is a throwback to another era.
And
That's
here's
so
the-
long.
And here's the true unacceptable part of that whole thing.
Yeah.
Ham Tyler was never mentioned once, nor his associate Chris Farber.
Chris Farley.
That's
He
pretty crazy.
spoke, but anybody chiming in for the third episode for the first time be like, who the hell's that?
Who's that
But-
strangely sexy dark
Joel,
man?
Joel shared the action figure post that we made on our, and his friend came up with fantastic Andrew Prine line that we forgot from last week when they're doing the Sean exchange in the tunnel, and he's like, okay, you do this, do that, and he's like, Andrew Prine has that great line as Steven. He's like, you're loud and arrogant. You must be the one they call the fixer.
Yep.
Oh,
Joel's
Ham.
friend brought that. That's such a great line.
It's a
Never
great-
mind
it's a
who I
great pull.
am. It's what
Never mind
Ham
who I
says
am.
back
Great
to him.
All right, gang, here we go. Deep dive in episode 3.
It's cool that the visitors have heard of him just by reputation. Like, that's not.
God, you know, I never even tracked that. Yeah, that's so awesome. Okay, here we go. Deep dive.
I have to do a deep dive.
Deep dive. Deep dive.
I have to do a deep dive.
Deep dive. Deep dive.
I have to do a deep dive.
Deep dive. Deep dive. Deep dive.
And people say my segment intros are long.
That's true.
Those people may now officially go straight to that.
There you go. All right, so here we go. We come in, obviously we've just had this lengthy and dense recap, and we meet up with the resistance right away, and there's baby Lizzie. No, I can't believe that no one, it never came up that, you know, maybe I mentioned this last week. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but they named the baby Elizabeth, and no one thinks to call the baby with the lizard tongue Lizzie. But yeah, so
that's
there we are with
weird.
Lizzie.
Yeah.
Lizzie's shedding, and Lizzie seems to be thriving. However, the other one, which they just call the other one,
Yeah, they never gave it a name.
Yeah, never even gave it a name. Not doing so good.
Did you guys though have the same reaction this last time watching? It was actually kind of heartbreaking.
Yes.
Like it's very sad.
1,000%.
I've always had that reaction to it. It's always been really, really sad when Lizard Baby just withers away.
I think I remember feeling kind of bad for it originally watching it, but this time I was actually really kind of like, boy, they are just letting and no, look, and not to bring everything down, but I'm the parent of a kid with a disability, and I'm just like, literally no one's even remotely trying to give it some love and figure, so.
Well,
no, indeed, they're like, once it's gone, they're like, well, we better dissect it.
Yep.
Make a weapon out of it.
Yeah. And I think it's the blue eyes. I think it's the power of the puppetry. I think it's got a personality. I think that's part of it,
Look, it's that generation. That's when we were all 10 to 12 years old watching this. I mean, those puppets, whatever the things were at the time, like they're all just ingrained, and they're all living things with personalities in our imaginations. And Lizard Baby, it's horrific moment at the beginning of the last episode is one thing, and the pathos, and the show I don't think it anyway does this by accident. I mean, Lizard Baby's not going to make it. You can tell right away.
Yeah.
And some of our characters they're not completely apathetic about that. They just, what do you do?
Yeah.
And they don't really know. And this thing really is dying because it's the wrong mix of both species. Whereas Elizabeth is
Lizzie
already a toddler or whatever. Because
she's growing at an alarming rate. She is
and shedding skin like the xenomorph.
Yep.
Eek.
And
right.
The shedding skin. I don't know if we have specifically the shedding skin at this point, but the shed, the husk of skin kind of made me think of it looked like the William Shatner mask that is used for Michael Myers.
all human masks with the eyes cut out do sort of just look like that.
I guess, by proxy.
The shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as they're a uniform color, they all pretty much look like Mike Myers to one degree or another.
At least they had the foresight to go, hey, it's dead, but why did it die? And then it discovers some bacteria that really only affected the boy lizard baby, and
the lizardiest of the two lizard babies.
And so he
was just lizardier than the other one.
And then so they realize, okay, well, we can isolate
Exploit
this and maybe we can let's try to culture these bad boys, see if we can create ourselves.
And Father Andrew's like, this could be a whole new opportunity for peace.
Yeah, peace ain't bad. Here we go. And, we're gonna get to him. And
he's the most excited about these babies, though.
He's so excited.
Not mom, she's not super excited. The lizard baby aunts aren't happy to welcome lizard baby along.
No,
the lizard baby
grandpa
doesn't seem happy to have these lizard babies around.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's.
But Father Andrew's
we do get another priceless Blair Tefkin reaction when she goes in to look at Elizabeth, and then she hears / sees lizardy baby.
I want to see it.
See it.
Can we find a way to do a follow-up episode of getting Blair Tefkin out of retirement, whatever she's doing, and just dissect her? I can't get over how good she is in this. But anyway, moving on.
Do a deep dive into the career of Blair Tefkin.
That's right.
She can join such luminaries as
she hung around for a while, but it's not this mini series, which could have made bigger stars out of a lot of these people. It's Blair, unfortunately, was one of the people who went on to the series, and the people who starred in the series never did anything as cool as V again, because the series brings them all down and lays them all low, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
I want it. Go on.
Go on.
But Blair is great. She really is great. That, you know, again, out of context or when you watch a little clip of it, it's silly, but during the birth scene, her facial reactions and stuff, her emotional, her panic and her fear and
she
repulsion,
sells
like
it
it's
on the
all
drop
very,
of a hat.
Yeah, exactly. It's all very emotionally.
She walks
real.
in, let me look at Elizabeth, and then here's some noise guy off camera making a noise for baby, and she's
and little babies dying, gasping, wheezing asthma breaths are so pathetic.
She absolutely is playing, you know, whether you agree with her choices or as a performer or not, she's absolutely playing the reality of the moment.
I really believe a character going through this situation. That's the maybe you can ask for a little more than that, but that's the key thing. If she's not doing that, none of this works. Cool. And we all agree this is pretty much the coolest stuff in the thing.
So we get that, you know,
obviously it works to the degree that it needs to, and she's a big part of that. So
so then we cut from Resistance headquarters and nursery. And you know, and kinder care.
We're in the jail at this point, still, right?
Still at the jail.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still at the jail. We hop back up to the mothership, where Donovan and Martin are very sexily trying to make their escape. Yep.
Can I just stop? Like Donovan and Martin, and then you paused, and I just had this moment of hope.
Holding each other.
They're holding each other, realizing the desperation of the moment. And Martin gazes deep into the human eyes of Mike Donovan and realizes the real love that has been there all along, and that and you know what? And they can resist no longer, though they're part of the resistance.
That was terrible.
Resist no longer.
But I loved it. All right. I'll continue with that image. Okay.
So Martin.
No, theirs is a bromance in the grand old Hollywood tradition, and they're wisecracking together, and
they absolutely are wisecracking.
Again, I don't mean to keep bringing up A.C. Crispin's novelization, but it is a pretty good novelization as far as those things go. And one of the cool things is that they're in these crawl spaces in the novelization for like 5 days, and. Seriously, and like Martin has to catch some rats to survive and stuff, and it's this very weird thing where like they can't pick their spot in which they get to leave for quite some time, and they have to formulate a plan and all this. And I always like that. I always thought that was a neat idea.
Yeah.
That could easily be the truth here too, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like we're picking up with these guys where we left off.
Right.
Yep. And Martin, this was always Martin's like plan F.
Well, he had to know once.
And this is the post. Yeah, this is the post he's been revealed as fifth column, right?
Yep. Correct. So they both got to get out of there. No hanging back for Martin. And Martin's like, well, there's got to, I have one way that we can get out of here. And shoves him down a tube. Martin's coming right after him. Luckily, they put parachutes on, and they skydive their way back to civilization.
Yeah,
it's a cool idea and fairly cool skydiving footage for a TV show. Credit where credit is due, because there's a lot of cheap junk in this episode. But the skydive sequence with the they're clearly not the actors in this case, but they, the guys dressed up like them and stuff, like it works pretty good actually.
Yeah.
So.
And so they land back to Earth. Martin goes and hangs out with some fifth column people.
This time it's the opposite as before. Donovan's like, "Hey, come with us. It's the only place you'll be safe." And he's like, "Oh no. I'm going to coordinate the fifth column efforts from down here now. I got."
Well, isn't this Martin and Ham's first intro?
It's coming up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And they don't meet until just a little bit later, because it has to do with what Mike discovers when he finally gets back to the jail and has a very sexy reunion with Julie.
That doesn't happen.
I know.
I just wanted to use the music.
And then, of course, sees his son, Sean, and is very excited to be back, reunited with his son, Sean. Sean, of course, making me long for the days of Tommy Peterson. You just
Sean's actor choice is to not look anybody in the eye when they're talking to them, and I gotta say, it is kind of creepy when he does that.
Yeah,
he doesn't quite ever look at anybody, which is weird. And
I know we're not quite to this point, but when he's playing tag with all the kids, and he's like this.
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean,
it's like it's bizarre.
Yeah. It is weird. It is weird. So, man, it's supposed to be, but it does feel like a kid trying to be randomly weird instead of like any sort of committed, like actual performance choice. But when it comes to kids, beggars can't be choosers. It's not too bad, I don't think.
But so now we get back and
is this where he offers to play catch with them or whatever?
I can't remember if that's this.
But it's important to note. He says, he says, you know, you want to go play catch with your pop. He's like, no, I don't like baseball.
I don't like baseball.
He goes walking out of the room, and
it's like, what? It was your favorite sport. It was your favorite sport. And he was like,
I wonder what Evan Kim would do if he were in this scene. Yeah, for those of you.
But this begs the question, though. I mean, based on what they know, and I know emotions are high and, you know, it's his kid, but wouldn't there be just an automatic, what in the hell, Julie, tie him down?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, clearly, you know, and Mike.
The biggest theme of V, we talked about it time and time again, is that people cling desperately to their own realities. And there's no more ridiculous case of it than this, with Donovan wanting to believe his kid is perfectly fine
and been through and witnessed with Julie.
No, he's fine.
Yet he's like, nah, totally, he's good. He's good.
Donovan in this sequence is that little meme of the dog in the burning room. This is okay.
This is fine.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And it's understandable. You get it. Yeah. You get where that comes from. I mean, but he needs to be woken up to what's going on, and it's a lot of effort to get him to catch up with the rest of us. It's unfortunately.
It would be what, like, all we needed was another scene where, like, Sean picks up a mouse and is like, and Julie comes in and is like, don't eat that.
That's a little weird. How does Mike find his way back to the Resistance once they moved?
Because they moved. Yeah, they moved.
They moved to the lighthouse now, and he definitely reunites with them at the lighthouse, not the prison.
Yeah.
Because once they do the trade-off,
let's go with this. Let's go with this. The fifth column knew where they were moving.
I'm sure
they're like, we're going to have to leave the jail. There's a great Chris Farber, like, it's clearly added in post voiceover when you see the car is pulling into the lighthouse, and he's like, well, I sure am glad to be out of that jail or whatever.
Yep.
All right.
I can't remember his exact words.
Did you notice that they used that pulling in sequence, talking about repeat things? I think they use it 5 or 6 times of the same exact footage for the establishing shots.
It's like, it's 2 or 3 times, but it's too many times. And I really believe that first time we see it was taken from later in it, and that this is just showing us where we are because they forgot to do that. And I think that's what the Chris Farber voiceover is
it's
too.
meant to do. Yeah.
But and it's clumsy at the same time, though. Just listening to Chris
is all good.
It's like it's
any chance you get to have Chris Farber.
Exactly.
So associate Chris Farber.
We'll take it.
Yep. So they tell Mike about the bacterium that they've created, and at that point they're just calling it like the red dust. And of course, good old Ham.
The red dust,
Tyler's
very Jules Verne, H.G. Wells kind of.
And Ham Tyler, like one of the only, maybe the biggest smile you get from Michael Ironside in the entire miniseries. He's like, looks at Willie and he's like,
yeah, he's grinning from ear to ear. They're like, well, we need a test subject or whatever.
Yeah.
And
oh, hey, Willie. And no.
And England's great too. I think this is planned, but his, I don't know what direction he got. Look as kind and innocent as possible. Because Willie's just like, hey.
Yeah.
And he's your friendly neighborhood visitor, truly, and Ironside wanting to test him. And Donovan goes, don't even think about it.
Yep.
He goes, what?
Well, it is nice that because Willie has been so helpful up to this point, and now he is just part of the gang, which is kind of a nice way that he's kind of slid in without a lot of rigmarole. He's just now accepted for the most part, other than Ham.
He's proven his
he's trusted everything,
proven his trustworthiness. Yeah. And also, I mean, I don't think we've actually talked. I mean, I think we've made reference to it. It is also just really fun that the kindest, most gentlest person in this entire miniseries, Willie, is played by the same guy who for years was Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And it makes me so happy watching Robert Englund as Willie again, because he made his whole career.
Look, he had one other character that he did in his whole life,
and he did it well. And
but look at that levels of distance.
He really did it better in almost every way you judge acting. His performance as Willie requires all kinds of stuff that Freddy does not, quite frankly.
And it's really wonderful. So anyway, you ain't gonna get you're not gonna test it on Willie. Not cool. But so they do come up with a plan thanks to super spy Maggie and her relationship with the ever sleazeball Daniel. And that's where we are. So they're having a dinner party,
right?
And it's Maggie and Daniel and Brian and some other chippy, who is there to get her lizard
Brian and like some other
and groupie number 5.
Yep.
Some visitor groupie,
Robin number 3.
Yeah.
she doesn't have a lot of screen time, but it is highly implied that she is one of the dullest bulbs in the bunch as far as she's your typical sort of bimbo side character.
Mm-hmm.
She seems like a sweet girl, but just really clueless as to which I suppose
we can probably assume at this point, although we did see that probably Brian and Diana, they did their thing, and probably moved on from that, Brian, and so Brian is now back
I don't think Diana's, she's got a lot of different relationships going.
Yeah. So anyway, they're hanging out, they're having dinner. Oh, isn't my Maggie the best? Isn't she the greatest? And then comes, storming on in. Hey, we got a delivery of all of these bottles.
It's Caleb, isn't it?
It is Caleb.
Yeah, it's Caleb
doing a little playing, acting at the door with as a matter of fact, Caleb's got we haven't mentioned him much, if you'll notice. There's a lot of characters that are pushed to the back burner. They're present throughout all of this. Caleb was at the pumping station, and he's been doing stuff. But as far as being tied to the heart of what's going on, Caleb, Elias, they've all been sort of the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
This is a big moment for him. He gets to do his champagne, like he just kind of knows how to get in.
Yep.
He knows just what to say so that, and Brian's, I didn't order any champagne.
Well, I love at the very beginning, it's like, he's like, looks at Brian like, hey, this was Brian's idea. And Brian's like,
you knew I liked champagne.
Yeah.
From that time my dead grandfather threw it in my face.
500 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then Brian's like, I didn't, what?
Yeah.
And
he doesn't even do it. Brian seems to know something's wrong right away because he's fairly declarative in his statement about the champagne. And then followed behind them is Ham Tyler and his associate, a couple other resistance guys.
Yep.
Quickly take the room. They knock Daniel out and they drag Brian kicking and screaming out of the room. Maggie gets to kind of reveal herself to him first, which is nice.
Yep. So great.
So it all works, and then they're getting ready to leave, and Ham's like, "What, for this guy? That's it?" And Caleb's like, "Hey, chill out, mercenary man. I got a plan."
Yeah.
And he calls up the main security phone number, if you see something, say something visitor hotline.
Right.
And pulls Eleanor and says, "Hey, I saw this Brian, somebody getting hauled away. Yeah, he was turned in by one of his buddies. What's his name? Daniel Bernstein. Okay, yeah, I gotta go. Click.
Yeah.
Who is this? Click. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is this? I gotta
So
go, my
good.
man. You know, he
Yeah.
hands up Caleb, super, very funny
Yep.
in this scene.
So good.
And then that's it. Then we leave that for a moment.
Yeah, we leave that for a moment. We get back, so Brian is.
They probably should at least tied him to a chair or something. Maybe that happens off screen. Who knows?
But as we'll get to it,
he could wake up and hide out in the pool house or something.
That's true. Never would have found him there.
Right.
And so we get
Abraham's still sitting in there listening to records.
Yeah, hey! they never killed him. They're just like
he's just hanging out listening to records. Yeah.
Daniel. They so we get back. So now they have Brian, and they have their potential test subject, and they got to figure out, okay, how do we test this on?
Yeah, because there's still it's Julie. I guess Robert is sort of like, let's just turn the screws on him. He's not very sympathetic to this guy that took advantage of his daughter.
Right.
But there's still this discussion, and Father Andrew is involved in it, of course.
Before we
want to test it on him humanely, basically.
And I think
even
at
Brian,
this point we
of all
haven't,
people.
I think right around this time also, isn't this where Elizabeth, little Lizzie, wants to play with the doll?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That does happen here.
Yeah, I think this is where this happens, and so there's
because her little Buddha belly's showing through her little red shirt.
She's growing so fast so that the clothes that she was in don't even fit. And she she
just walks in on Katie sitting there on the bed with a doll, and it just like kind of looks at the doll, and Katie's like, hey, she just sees another little girl her age.
Yeah.
So you want to play? And you hear this scream, and when it is creepy. They come running in, and Elizabeth's patting the doll's head, and they're like, where's Katie? And her like feet are sticking out from under the bed.
It's not just that Elizabeth sprayed her with venom.
Right.
It's that she tried to hide it.
Right.
It's creepy. That's the extra creepy layer. That's like, ooh.
She's a newborn.
It's like Elizabeth. Elizabeth looked
in
down
like a 6-year-old's body. The whole thing is weird.
Because it could be that it wasn't even hiding. It could just be like, I don't want to have to look at that while I'm playing.
Who knows? That's weird. It's weird and alien and creepy. And they pull Katie, drag Katie out. They chip the lizard goo off of her face and literally have to resuscitate her back to life, or she'd be dead.
Right, but they have to restrain Robert, if I recall.
Yes.
Yeah, Robert.
Right.
Like, this is your grandchild.
I mean, it is actually. Who says that? Father what's his name?
Says that.
Of course he does.
But it's like Robert says something really harsh, like we should kill it now or something. I mean, he really
someone ought to kill that damn monster.
Yeah. So so Father Andrew's response actually seems rather measured. You're talking about your granddaughter, like
no, I know, but it's just I think it's another one of those moments where everything underneath is so ragged and deep and ridiculously horrifying. I mean, it's this moment of just family drama, but geez Louise, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there is.
I also want to bring up, we glossed past this because we were too busy having some Mike and Martin fan fiction because of the escape. Because of the escape, Diana is like fully demoted to just the science officer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Pamela's still in the picture.
Yeah, Pamela. Yep. Yeah, Pamela's still there.
She's taking charge.
She's taking charge, and I'm gonna bring order back to this.
They're trying to sell it to her the same way they sold it to John, which is look. You should look at this. We're doing you a favor.
You don't have to worry about that administrative stuff. Yeah.
Diana, I'll use Ryan's term, measured. She's very calm and considerate about it. I mean, she's really good about these kinds of things, She
really is. She handles things with aplomb.
She sure does.
She's the opposite of that. She has a total tantrum and completely freaks out.
I love her so much.
And that's so great. That's Diana for you. She doesn't hold anything back. So
And so that catches us back up. We go back to Earth headquarters for the visitors, and it's time for Daniel to he's face to face with Steven. And
Steven's sitting at a desk like the principal, and a very beaten and bloody Daniel is brought before him.
He's like, I don't know what to do. I just want to be a good boy. I want to be a good boy, Steven.
It's not a bad impression of him in the scene. He's, he thinks he was hot stuff, and he wasn't. He was never anything to these guys but a tool. And we could, even if he was an effective tool, we could see that all along. And he's about to learn the hard way what it's all about. And Andrew Prine, as Steven, gives this long, really. I mean, I guess it's fine, but it's this long sort of, we've seen it in dozens of things. Oh, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. We're going to send you to a place where you can really contemplate this and think about it, blah, blah, blah.
And a place where you can do some good.
And Daniel's like, really? Oh, he's acting so relieved or whatever. And he's like, where? And he goes, on a serving platter.
Yeah, and
Joel, you need to bring up,
Michael and I talked about this right before you popped on the call, Ryan. The thing about, because Daniel's response to that on a serving platter, his response is no. He starts freaking out. No. That implies Daniel knew this whole time that they were eating humans. He knows they're eating humans and didn't care.
No, think about it, Ryan. Think about the fact that had he said serving platter, he'd been like, "What?
What? What are you talking about? What?
I get it. I just don't know I don't know how clever the show is, or
I think it's
the show doesn't show us that he knew the whole time.
No, but it implies exactly what Joel said. It implies that he understands.
The implication of
it's a strong argument. I'm just not going to give the creators the credit.
No, I don't think we give the creators. The creators just saw a great ending to a scene.
Right.
Funny line. This villain is going to get his comeuppance he's hoisted by his own petard. Right.
And David Packer's great. His screaming and wailing while he's being dragged out of that room.
David Packer has this great thing where he's like, I mean, what are you gonna do to me, Steven? What are you gonna do to me? Yeah. And it's just,
you got his nasal
really great.
Quality perfectly.
It's so pathetic. It's so beaten and so far fallen. I think what was fun about watching his
even by a turncoat standards, but it is what Caleb promised Ham. He promised him actual.
No, it is,
justice.
But there's that moment of pity.
Yeah.
Knowing where he started and knowing how he was manipulated and everything. Yeah, but then you think back to Ruby and it's like, I hope it hurts.
Yeah,
he's such
I hope you're served fresh like sushi.
It's kind of sad in a way, because again, it's another one of these characters that we've known from the very beginning. Yes, he went downhill and he's a horrible, awful person, but it's like, there's this weird closure to it. And that's weird. It's a strange thing to see him go because you know who he is, but it's good that he's dead and he's going to suffer,
So, so we start to see some plot lines wrap up.
This type of scene, of which, again, we have several in a row coming. This is one of the better ones, no question. And it really is great because Steven is just doesn't. I mean, it's important to see that. Brian's always playing Daniel one way or another. Steven just doesn't. I mean, there's no.
Yeah, you're nobody.
You're nobody to. You're nothing.
Yeah, you're nothing to me. Yep.
You don't get too upset. You'll get stringy.
Yeah, exactly. It really is that cold and vicious.
I don't want my meat ill-tempered.
Because they can just get rid of him. They don't need to go through all this drama. Steven enjoys torturing him, and he enjoys dragging this thing out. It's because he's evil. I mean, that works. That always works when it's done right. So I do dig this sequence.
Yeah.
Even though these types of like I said, easy justice tends to not sit easy with me when I'm watching something that I think is sort of complex.
No, I don't think it's easy justice in this case, Ryan. I think that we have seen him be a douche for
I get
long?
it. I still think
this is a long time coming.
We as humans need to resist the idea of a fellow human getting eaten by a lizard person as a fun, neat thing. That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't look at it as that. I look at it as proper comeuppance.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to be able to go into my brain and look at the details of how they're going to do it because I can't go there.
Right.
But the fact that he's not going to bother anyone anymore, yay.
It's harsh alien justice, but it is a certain sort of literary, poetic justice as well. So I get that. I do. I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying that
Ruby in cold blood.
I'm saying that there's plenty of audience members out there going, ha ha ha, they're going to eat him.
Of course.
Yeah,
but these people aren't seeing the depth of, and they certainly probably don't understand his trajectory as a character either.
Right.
You know, they just see him, he was always a douche. No, he was an innocent, dumb kid.
Right.
And then he became power hungry and evil, you know?
So we get a little, on a serving platter. And then we head back to lighthouse area. There
with
is
the same establishing shot.
Yep, same establishing shot. And Brian is in like a apparently this lighthouse had little cool tube areas to hang out in where they've stuck.
It is weird. He's in this weird plexiglass holding tube.
But we have also neglected to say that Robin saw him enter the facility. We didn't say that.
Saw that Robin.
She did see him, and
he called out to her.
He called out to her.
Robin, tell them I'm not like the others. That I'm whatever. He's
we cool, baby. We cool. Cool. Come on.
Hey, that's my baby mama. You know, come on.
So he's in.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know he impregnated.
I think that this lighthouse.
No. He doesn't know. You can tell when she brings in the kid and starts explaining it all to him.
I don't buy that. He has
to. Well, let's buy it. He hasn't been near her or around her in any way since they had sex.
Mm-hmm.
He literally wouldn't know unless visitors hit it every time. Maybe they have 100%.
I bet Brian does. Maybe Martin too.
Because, but also, I mean, later on we do. I don't Diana
think he
makes
knows.
reference.
I think even at that moment when he's being dragged in there, he doesn't know.
Diana does make reference to the so this is the child or something like that. So there must be some knowledge of potentially this.
Well, I don't take any
reaction.
It's not a shock to him or to her that.
But I don't take any reaction from Brian as legitimate.
That's true.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
I just think there's something in Peter Nelson's performance. Watch it again. When she brings him in, he doesn't really know who that kid is until she tells him. And as soon as she tells him, he immediately switches gears and starts to use it for his advantage.
But he also doesn't know how a mixed breed child would grow that fast. So of course, even if he thinks there's a baby, he wouldn't think it'd be a 5-year-old.
No, their own race grows very, very quickly.
That's right. You're right. Willie told him that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So let's get to it. So he's in his pneumatic tube of horror, and he is hanging out there. And everyone's wondering what to do. And they've got the dust
is ready to go now.
Yeah, and they're like,
and there's a
how do
big
we
debate
do it?
again amongst our heroes. So we just
kill
dump
him?
it on this guy and see what happens, or what?
So they're debating this over in another room. They're talking about it, going, I don't know, it feels wrong to just kill the dude. And we're like, but why? He's a lizard guy and he's visitor, blah blah blah.
But we know good lizards as well. It is a debate worth having. Who are we?
Well, yeah, and it's like, okay, well, if we use
just scientifically test on people, I mean, that's dark ground that you're talking about.
Well, don't they have the conversation at this point of it makes us no better than them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it brings up, okay, well, we have this. How we can't just dump it and use it on everybody. We gotta we can't use it until we have an antidote for it. Right. It's that whole thing. Don't
to protect the
fifth
columnists.
Because we can't just kill the people that we that we're bros with. and that we stare longingly into
Gross.
their eyes when we're
Obviously,
trying to escape a ship.
Tyler is at the forefront of the screw.
Yeah, Ham
argument.
wants.
So is Maggie. So is some other people who've suffered recent losses. Are just like, what are you talking about? Just kill these lizards. They're the enemy. I mean, you know, and that's a legit argument too.
Yeah.
They're come here to kill us all. That's what we're talking about. We're not fighting over a little plot of land or even the water. This is our very survival is based on.
Well, there's something about this.
I was going to say, we got. Let's take these in order because we're about to. That big giant debate scene is about to happen, but before that happens, they have to know if the red dust works, and someone takes it upon themselves to go ahead and see if it does work.
Yeah, why don't you walk us through this sequence, Michael? This is one of your favorites.
We get the confrontation between
Robin comes in with Elizabeth,
right, hand in hand.
Hand in hand. I mean, the look on Tefkin's face is probably her best acting in the whole damn thing.
Well, and her voice is back to that sweet teen girl. It's a bit of a put on, but it's that look.
No, but she is selling in her eyes that she is legitimately in this moment psychotic. She's it's actually really frightening.
And frankly, as an audience member, you know, I think obviously the idea going back there, and I think it's successful, is
she has come not to praise Brian, but to bury him.
But I think
we initially know that right away.
Yeah, and then, however, is he going to be able to talk her out of it? Is he going to be able to sweet talk her out of it?
He does a good job, man. Brian's a smooth operator, no question.
And she sells it like maybe it's affecting her a little bit.
He's just like, let me out. All I want to do is hold our daughter. We can go someplace and all this. He's got the whole.
Oh my God, this scene is gut wrenching. It's gut wrenching. It's so.
Again,
rough.
of all the,
but it's also the fact of, I mean, there's so many things going on here, but what always strikes me is that this little kid is standing there watching her mother kill her father.
Yes.
That is so messed up. I mean, she probably doesn't quite understand it yet. Maybe she does, but it is just so messed up.
We come to find out that Elizabeth understands all kinds of things that even we don't understand. So who knows? But this scene where Robin reaches out, opens the little sliding door on the side of the tube that Brian's in and dumps the dust in there. And Brian's death scene, Peter Nelson.
Oh, he sells it.
Clawing at himself, choking.
This is the first time we've seen an adult visitor die from the bacteria, and it is horrific.
It is not fun.
Screaming, writhing around, tearing your own skin off your face, even if it is fake skin.
And Robin's just
kind of watching it like a lizard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
God. This blank expression on her face. She's still kind of smiling from acting all sweet, but she's not.
Well, yeah, she's inflicting her justice. She's inflicting.
But this is another one of those moments of this has been such a long time.
Elizabeth's
coming.
reaction is somewhat knowing. She's looks quite frightened by what she's witnessing.
But to see the conclusion to this, I think is.
And Father Andrew comes running in, and Julie
of course, Father Andrew's the first one there, and Father Andrew is like, "Oh, wow, that's
pretty good."
Bad.
Thomas Hill, pretty good economy of takes on him. They always catch him back with Katie, and now they catch him giving the looks to the right places at the right times. Is very little. There's very little.
Well, no, Robert takes Robin out, and Father Andrews takes Elizabeth out, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Is that how it goes? And then we have Julie sticking around. Okay.
And it's important to note that Father Andrew, having witnessed the last few things and heard the things he's heard, he's not just what he is ideologically. He does have reason to fear for Elizabeth's life.
Yes.
The things
because her mother is clearly psychotic.
Yep.
Right. And her father doesn't want her around. He said she should be killed. I mean, He's seen enough to have legit concerns, to be fair to him.
And so then they're like, okay, so this works. This kills the visitors. Pretty cool. We got we don't know what it does to humans though. So maybe we should test. Maybe we should get another Daniel type guy.
Again, they start another science debate right there in the room.
Yeah, we should have Ham's like we should have gotten that Daniel kid.
Yeah, that Daniel kid would have been perfect.
Right, and Julie just
Julie's
into
like,
the tube.
Here we go.
She opens a huge human-sized door on the side of the tube, presumably without letting any of the red dust out to kill the other humans. In the
very,
room.
very hermetically sealed.
It's a little stupid, but whatever. The point is,
it's kind of like the pneumatic tubes when you go to the bank.
She stands in the tube. She gets in there. She's kind of instinctively holding her breath. This is a pretty good actor moment. And then she goes, "Oh yeah, I have to breathe this to test it." And sucks a bunch in. And
I'm good. I'm cool. Everything's cool.
Now we know. Juliet, woman of action.
Oh, Juliet Parrish. God bless her.
Actually.
God bless.
She's like, we can't stand around and talk about this. This is the end of humanity. We gotta. We only have an hour and 15 minutes of V the Final Battle left. We gotta get chop.
Julie Parrish. Okay. So now we know that it works. And now we have that big debate. Okay, what do? We got to go. How are we going to distribute this? How are we going to get all of this? Get all of this distributed and take out these.
That happens a little bit later when they find out about the nuke. I think that's the debate that comes.
Well, that's where we're at.
No,
is they're doing, and we get a little Sean.
Ham's got to meet Martin. Ham and Mike have to fight. There's all kinds of stuff that happens.
You're right. So we get the to Father Andrew. I did jump ahead. I thought that the debate took place before Father Andrew gets up on the mothership.
They don't have two back-to-back debates. They've had a big one. What do we do with Brian? That one took care of itself. Right. They have one later where they are faced with another conundrum, even once they have a plan of how to use the red dust. We'll get to that. That's an important scene for sure.
Yep, you're right.
That comes later.
Andrew brings Elizabeth. Clearly you can envision Andrew going to.
We talked about just like a swamp gator.
Just going. Oh no, we didn't talk like it's just like a swamp
when Ham meets Tyler. When Tyler meets Martin is a pretty fun scene.
Right. But
in the film archives or someplace Warner Television already owned show up in a whatever empty warehouse. Might as well be a film warehouse. Who cares? But watching Ham physically when he hears him behind him, he does the whole slinking over to the other side, so he's facing him at all times. And that line, just like a swamp gator, sneak up on you every time.
Yep.
And Frank Ashmore as Martin's like, Jesus, who's this guy?
And saying, I'm weirdly turned on by that. So we get so Father Andrew goes up to the mothership saying, hey y'all, I have myself a little
point is Tyler is sorry, we do need to get to that, but the point is that Tyler's aware of these fifth column guys, and he's certainly aware of their support for the resistance. So he makes some decisions and some arguments coming up that are even though he's aware of all that and has met this guy. So it's important to say that, because there's a big confrontation. Obviously there has been since we met Tyler coming between Donovan and Tyler. And this Martin is the reason why, basically. Martin and all the fifth columners, but Martin's our fifth columnist for our stories. So he represents a need to not just poison all of these people. It's complicated. And yet, can you afford not to poison them all?
Yeah.
You even want an antidote for the stuff that's supposed to save you out there. It's a valid, they're all valid questions.
It is worth repeating as well that Martin is played by the very dreamy Frank Ashmore.
Frank Ashmore is truly great. Martin's a great character. Played with a lot of smarts and a lot of soul and a lot of sort of man of action. Like he really is kind of the perfect guy.
The fifth columnist spin-off show starring him would have been great.
It would have done better than the series.
Yep. Anyway, so
series didn't include Martin, much to its peril.
Father Andrew brings Elizabeth up to the mothership and meets Diana, and he's like, "Look, I think that this will be a good opportunity for our two peoples. look at this. We're pretty similar. Look at
This
the
is-
little girl.
and Diana, the way she says it with the big scientific eyes.
Mhm.
This is Robin Maxwell's child.
Oh yeah. Let me get in there.
Yeah, delicious. It's gonna be so much fun.
Delicious
and-
in a figurative sense.
Yes, yes. Sorry, yes. I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. That is important.
Just wanted to make the distinction.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's like, "Hey, I think it's good." Also, have you heard the good word, Diana?
God.
He can't help himself.
Here's the Bible. Let it be the book for thee.
Is this
And,
the same cosmic stuff or genetic
Yeah.
stuff? Is that this line?
Well, she comes back into the room later. It's a different scene, but yes, I mean that's what this is happening here. He's there for lots of reasons.
Yeah, this child proves we're made of the same genetic stuff.
Right, the same basic genetic stuff,
and
it does prove that. They couldn't mate together if they weren't. So it's
right.
He has a point. This is nothing short of cannibalism. What you're doing here.
Yeah.
He's Thomas Hill's great. He's very, even though we're all going, oh, what are you doing, man? Because Diana's not going to care about any of this.
Yeah.
Or worse, as it turns out, she'll care a little.
She'll care.
Oh, yeah.
And that's even worse.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, we get the futility of Father Andrew's mission, but he gives it a good go. I mean, he makes a strong argument. He does give her the Bible, which she actually reads, or at least the New Testament.
Halfway
she
through.
reads.
She makes a good dent in it. She makes a good dent in it.
But then she says, treat our guest well, put him up. And then she keeps Elizabeth.
Yep.
Right.
Which Father Andrews just basically, okay. I mean, here you go, Diana.
Yeah, what's he gonna? He's.
I know, but I mean, there's not even a brief.
Yeah, and they're like,
Oh,
make sure he's, our guests are treated comfortable, and he's like,
Elizabeth's well-being is at the forefront of his mind, but it's still a very distant second to him making peace with the aliens.
Yep.
That's his grand
They're
plan.
going to be putting
through the
up
power of
statues
Christ
Father
and through the power of
Andrew.
our common genetic heritage.
And
genetics.
so and then of course
as a diplomat, he has no choice but to wait patiently and do whatever they want.
So so Father Andrew is escorted to the Father Andrew suite, and then we get and what are we going to do with you? And so very excited. And of course, jumping ahead, the next time we see Elizabeth, she's in like full V
grown
and V outfit.
Visitor outfit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on. Charlie, sorry. Okay, so
did you inhale
when
some
you
red
mute
dust?
yourself
I
when
got
you
some red
cough,
dust.
people
I got
don't understand what happened,
Yeah, sorry. Well, I coughed and because I inhaled some red dust.
Red
I'm
dust.
fine because I'm human. And sometimes it's also good to get
You're
a
starting to
reminder.
blister.
Moving on, let me turn off my camera.
We better hurry.
Yeah, so yeah, you better hurry. So
We better hurry. There's a ton of stuff to talk about.
Martin comes in. They meet up with Martin. This is where Martin and Ham meet for the first time, just like Swamp Gator, and find out that look, you got to stop making this stuff. You can't kill all the visitors like this because they have a backup plan.
Right.
And that is they're going to ram one of these big old ships into your planet and that'll just do it for you.
Even
You'll
if
be
you
done.
get them all to leave, what he says is they will leave one ship behind. They always do. It's loaded with a nuclear doomsday device that will destroy your entire planet. So you have to, so he's all, like Martin's always been very frustrating in this way. He's all, well, we got to find another way. We got to finesse this better. We got to find a more nuanced way to resist. And obviously there are going to be arguments on both sides of that as well. But the idea, it's annoying to me that they keep calling it nuclear, that even Martin calls it that.
Yeah.
I hate that because that's just so 1984 and it's cheap and stupid. It's, it could be whatever. It doesn't have to be a nuclear thing, but whatever. It is. So, well, let's deal with it. That's a big deal. It's not, it's like you win, you lose. If you lose, you just lose slower. It's like kind of an impossible situation for humanity to be in now that they have a weapon that's worthy of fighting back with, and they'll have to deal with that now, that idea. And it makes their choices kind of impossible. So.
Yep, and they get and so they with they have this information now about the ship bomb being used, and they got to debate that. Ham ain't waiting though. They've started mass producing the red dust. And Ham's gonna, try to,
he's already loading it onto the pickup.
Yeah, he's loading it onto pickup trucks, saying, "Hey, we're gonna get this out. We're gonna get this out to, all the other resistance areas, and we're gonna get this, we got to get this all over the world and stuff to so that we can have a coordinated attack." And Donovan is like, "No, dude, no, we have not decided this. You got to stop." Leading to
poor Sancho is caught in the middle. Sancho's like. Mr. Tyler said put all the stuff on the truck. So what do you want from me? I'm just a gardener.
Don't put it on the truck.
No, but the best part is the guy in the truck,
right?
Yeah,
it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
The best part is when Tyler slaps Donovan's hands away, and you're like, "Oh, this is happening."
Yep.
And Donovan, punches him, and I don't remember which character it is. But somebody steps forward, and Caleb puts his hand in front of him and he goes, stops him.
Yep.
And he's like, they're adults.
Yeah, and again,
get it out of their system.
And even Chris Farber is looking up, just going, "Yeah, this has got to happen, guys."
Yeah, basically,
just let him do this.
So they have what's a pretty cool fist fight.
It's a good fight.
And around and on top of this pickup truck.
And it is. It's a good fight between two guys who don't actually they're not trying to kill each other.
Right.
They're just it is like two friends having a big old having a fist fight and then of course afterwards
two brothers, however you want to look at
it. That's even better. That's even better. Two brothers. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Their words aren't working, so we're gonna have to duke it out.
They fight it out, and it's like. And then, Don, I can't remember who speaks first. I want to say it's Ham going. I think it's Ham going.
All right,
I didn't know you felt so strongly.
That's Ham's answer. And
he goes,
Michael talked about it last episode, and I'll just repeat it here. Like I said, I disagreed a little bit with the characterization, but I agree with the great character thing. Ham, I really believe he doesn't so much admit when he's wrong as he concedes the argument at the right time every time.
Yeah.
Because I think he still thinks he's right as rain here. I don't think he's had his mind changed.
Yep.
But he's like, I didn't know you felt so strongly about it. I guess we're not doing it. It's
Donovan. Donovan after the fight, he's like, the truck stays,
and he goes.
Yeah,
it's just his way of nodding and agreeing.
So much fun, and then we get And then we come back from break, and we're back up on the mothership where we see little Lizzie hanging out with Diana, and
playing with some Legos, some lizard Legos.
I love this lesson.
And click-clacking on a little visitor computer, and
that's right. Little alien speak and spell.
Yep, and she's like, she looks at Diana, look at what I typed, and says, "Michael,
Pretinama."
And Diana says, "That is not in our destiny."
That is not in our destiny. Pretinama.
No. Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Pretinama. She actually Elizabeth gets a little punchy.
Little Pretinama.
Pretinama.
I believe it's more than that. It's Pretinama.
Yeah.
It's I'm the kid and I insist.
Yeah.
And the no doesn't seem to dissuade her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this from Polly.
Yep.
She's Pretinama. We'll learn what that means later, but Elizabeth's decided that's the end game. It's Pretinama. That's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana's not having anything to do with that. So.
Yep. So she's like, no, okay, we'll continue our lessons later because I need to talk to Father Andrew because I've read this good book.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, let's talk about the book here, Father Andrew. Hey, your book is really interesting. Got a lot of points in there, Father Andrew. He's like, yeah.
I'm glad you feel that way. I'm very delighted. That's what I had hoped.
Bringing Christianity to the.
I hope I'm the one to bring it. I hope I'm the voice.
I could travel to your world, perhaps, and spread the word of God to them.
Oh my
God! There
God.
y'all go. And
Or
yeah.
I could just shoot you in the face with this
Or I
laser
could
pistol.
say, hey, you know what this book is talking about? It makes you vulnerable.
It shows me my weaknesses.
Yeah, it shows me my weaknesses.
The story of Jesus is the ultimate story of empathy, and empathy has no use in Diana's plans.
Yeah, Diana's like, see all this? No. And gives him the old...
She does unto her neighbor before he can do unto her.
Correct.
Well, I'm going to use my catchphrase. I find it interesting that there was no massive uproar in the television viewing community over this sequence.
Well, really?
For the God-fearing people, because my thought is not only that Father gets shot, but she shoots the Bible.
She does. She gives,
and so it's like
that's right. The Bible.
I can't imagine that there weren't some people writing in NBC. I'm boycotting, like because of that.
But
it was a simpler time. I mean, shooting the Bible was seen as an affront in the scene.
Yeah, and it's the villain who does it. So it's just that's the bad guy. Now, if it was like Mike Donovan going, "Hey, Pat,"
it was Father all our Andrew, heroes sitting down and agreeing that an abortion is a woman's choice. In a scene like it was a couple weeks ago.
I'm going to shoot your Bible because of it. Well, then, yeah, you're going to get a lot
of... visual. It's the visual of it. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're seeing a Bible go up in flames. Watching this recently, this was one of my favorite scenes, not only because...
I find it a little corny.
Oh, no.
I do like Thomas Hill, but I find all of Diana's little obvious turns and then shootings to be rather repetitive.
I loved this scene. I loved it so much because it's again that, I mean, because this shortcoming and suggestion isn't coming from Martin, who we know could always sell and manipulate Diana and everything. So anyone else doing that is like, no, this
Father Andrew's in earnest. He's not.
I know. And that's what's so fascinating, because he thinks that he's making headway. It's like, are you paying attention?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been watching the show like we have.
I love this scene.
To be fair,
I don't think it's cheesy at all. I think it's actually borderline blasphemous. I love it. I think it's great.
It's good.
So we
but it's a little pre Last Temptation of Christ. It's those sorts of protests you're talking about.
And
I don't think they would have resulted from this anyway, but even if they would have, it was a little early.
No, I get your point that it's a bad person. It's the bad
guy person doing a bad
thing. But the
thing.
visual of a priest in a Bible being shot is pretty powerful. Intense. If you're a God-fearing person.
It
you
is
know?
Intense.
But
I was a God-fearing person and I wasn't offended by it.
Also important to note, little Lizzie Pretanama right there watching it all.
Oh, that's right.
She's learning a lot about lizards and humanity in these few short days.
One could say she's getting a crash course.
But one wouldn't say that. What happens next, Joel? Hurry.
So anyway, so then we get back, and now, armed with the knowledge of that they have the bomb, they have the big debate. Okay, well, if we go through with this attack, then they could, we can't just dump the dust and kill all of them, because then they're going to bomb, bomb our planet with one of their ships. But
and
if
also,
we don't
you can't kill them all, because what a mess.
Yeah, and there, yeah. So and then you get you have to say, but we also can't.
The point is, if you kill them all, you can't kill them all.
Yeah.
And if you start killing most of them and they leave, they're going to destroy you.
They're going to destroy. Yeah. So what do we do?
So
can
we even afford to try this? Do we if we paint them in the corner with the red dust and they do destroy us all, then what do we do? Do we attack or don't we?
Well,
and Maggie's like, yes, we attack. And Tyler's like, yes, we attack. And what does Chris say?
Elias, no. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Caleb actually is the one that gives we can't afford to play with the lives of everybody on this planet. It's Elias who says, "This is it.
We can't afford not to do
I don't disagree with you, but this is it. This is our weapon. This is the circumstance with which we are in to fight back.
We
don't fight back now. We're just waiting around to die.
Mm-hmm.
We have to roll the dice," is basically what Elias says. He says it very elegantly. And
I don't want to get past the Chris Farber clap. That's one of those little moments I talked about last week that I'm like, wow, you're awesome. Anyway, sorry.
Right. He's speaking Tyler and his language, although he's speaking it in a more spiritual way. It's a great speech from Elias and a great character moment for him. And it's a great point he's making. Yeah, it's a risk. It's all a risk. But we can't twiddle our thumbs.
We can't afford
no
to
time.
take it. Yeah.
There's
yeah,
no
you're
time.
right. We're out of time. We have to do this, and we have to do this now.
This is our thing. This is the gift we've been waiting for, where we can fight back. We have to fight back and let the chips fall where they may, basically. He doesn't say that exact term.
Yep. And meanwhile...
And Caleb follows him outside, and Elias, who's been chastised by Caleb over and over and over again, for everything, like I said, for dealing drugs to the visitor youth, for everything. He's not been able to get off his dad's shit list. And Caleb says, I heard what you said in there. And he goes, look, Pop, I'm
nothing's good enough for you. No,
he's
I
like,
can never do anything good.
He's like, will you let me finish? He gives that great dad.
Yeah.
Will you let me finish? And Elias, okay, I'll let you finish. Yeah. And he's like, I don't agree with what you said, but boy, you said it well.
Yeah.
I was damn proud of you.
I love the fact that, like you said a little bit earlier, that we don't get a lot of Caleb and Elias, and certainly no mention of Ben, but this is kind of a final moment for that family unit, that we get. And I think it's actually very lovely.
It is. It's the wrap up of that plot line. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad that they thought enough to give them kind of that last bit, it's a really nice moment.
Caleb has another big time badass action hero moment, but this is the culmination of the
family.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, while all of this meeting is going on, are the kids out playing? What is Tommy Peterson's character name again?
Josh.
Are Josh and Sean hanging out again? Talking about which action figures they have. No. There's Sean. Sean's doing a little like what's
dropping some eaves outside the door.
Yep.
Oh, hi, Julie.
And then he's like, "Oh, I've been spotted." I run back. No, and this is the best. He's like this, staring at nothing, staring at a wall, and Julie's like, "Sean."
Yeah. The
no, it's not that. He's got this weird action. He goes, "Oh, hi, Julie."
Again, he never looks at her.
Mm-hmm. And so that leads to Julie's concern about going to Mike and saying, Mike, I know we got a good thing going here, but I'm worried about Sean. Sean's fine. He's totally fine. What are you talking about? I don't know. He was listening at the meeting.
Yeah.
Mike. He was listening.
He's been brainwashed. He's just a kid.
Hey,
I could barely survive it. How could he possibly?
Yeah.
Hey, he's fine. He's been through a lot. Don't make me choose, Julie. Don't make me choose between my son and you.
You'll lose every time.
I don't want to gloss over, because this scene, watching it recently, was very powerful, because they both sell it really well, but the heartbreak in her eyes is devastating.
She's a good actor.
Oh, she's so good, but it's just, and actually Singer's really good in this scene too. Like it's, he knows she's right, and it's just, it's a really good scene. Yeah.
And he needs this to push him over the edge a little bit. And of course, there's a follow-up scene where Tyler comes up to him and says, I don't want to fight you, which is a funny line based on the fight that we just saw. But it's Tyler in earnest saying, you have to know, man. You have to know. Mm-hmm. And listen, maybe we can make it work for us.
Yeah, maybe we can make it work for us. Because of course the next we after of course the commercial break, we get there is old Sean hanging out
with
Grandma and Steve's
at the old dining room table.
Yeah.
Could I have some more cake?
We skipped the scene where her husband walks out on her. That's too bad.
we did. That was that was
last week.
That was last week. But yeah, so
she's alone.
Eleanor on her own
with
now.
Steven now. Yeah.
Yeah, with Steven in tow.
Opens it up wide open for the Steven love.
Yep. And yes, we have there of course was a scene that was cut between
I don't know what he says to her.
Eleanor and Steven. Eleanor's like, no, I'm kidding.
Oh my God, no. Oh Lord.
No, Eleanor is of course very happy to see her grandson and Steven and there, and he's like, yeah, no, they're gonna attack the Air Force bases. They're gonna
use the jets to disperse.
They're gonna use
dust.
the jets, and and they're gonna get all the red dust around.
When's it happening?
Red dust?
At dawn.
At dawn. I'm eating cake, and so hey, good, boy, that all worked. And so then we shoot back on up to the mothership where Pamela has called in Diana. Sorry, Michael. Where Pamela has called in Diana to have a full-on Falcon Crest style argument.
Can I have another piece of cake?
That's rude.
That's rude. Yeah.
But I want one.
He's a little Daniel in training. He's Sean's gonna grow up to be Daniel.
I'm sorry, I just can't get past the image of Eleanor and Steven doing the "I'm the king of the world" Titanic scene, and I mean that's the best thing I've heard all day. That was just amazing. Sorry.
And
anyway, Pamela's about to get shot by Diana. So
yep. So Pamela and Diana are, you're just talking about things, and
Falcon Crest. That's well earned. Mm-hmm. That is what it is like.
And Diana
like two big shoulder padded vamps,
and essentially Diana's like
and talking around each other and insulting each other by being polite to each other.
Yeah,
and you have always underestimated me, and you are never, you've never. And essentially, like what this needs is it is a time of action, and I am the one to take that action. And
I think
this one's not bad because she shoots Pamela, so Pamela's like incapacitated in the corner in the room, and then continues to just bark at her.
Yep.
But what is interesting? Copyright. No, it's the fact that Diana goes around killing all these people, including like the soldiers for Pamela. All of this.
Yep.
And I get the sense that everyone else on that ship is so afraid of her that no one ever reports any of this.
Sure. I think that's right.
Certainly she kills these people, but someone is bound to see something a little weird.
I think there's something about visitor culture too, that it's like, oh, whoops. You thought, I mean, Pamela is a great example of this. Pamela thought she was on Falcon Crest, but she's actually on V, the Final Battle. And she finds out the hard way here that Diana I wish there weren't so many of these in a row because they just feel repetitive and weird. And it feels like we're rushing to eliminate characters not quite as ceremoniously as maybe they should be. But Pamela, the great thing about this scene is that Pamela just she is completely out of her depth with Diana. Diana is happy to do the little let's nip and peck at each other sort of Falcon Crest thing, but eventually she has enough and she just shoots Pamela. She just shoots her. I mean, that's what did Chris say a few weeks back? When the pigs come on the farm, we just shoot them.
Yeah.
Boom. It's done. It's settled. Pigs aren't scary. We just shoot them. And Diana's like, I don't care about any of this anymore. I tried to,
Yeah, this was fun.
I tried to play the game,
but we have other
but
stuff
she says, I prefer the more direct approach. Isn't she actually in the line?
That's what it was. I couldn't remember. I was
and there you go. And Pamela, Sarah Douglas is great. She just, what is happening?
Because she and Steven have been plotting. It's like, let's make her
been doing
suffer.
All this labyrinthian stuff. And
Diana's like, no, done.
Yeah, it's all undone by a shot of the laser pistol.
And and I think and going back to the visitor culture, I think you're absolutely right. It is also an element of just the strongest is the leader. And then they're like, okay, well, Diana's, Diana.
She's clearly the alpha. Yeah.
You're the strong. Yeah, the alpha. You're the strongest now. Okay, great. I'm in line. Let's go.
No doubt.
So we get so Diana's now in
and then when she's shot again, she shoots her twice. When she finally shoots her with the death blow of Sarah's slide down the wall to death is actually that's pretty awesome. It's always fun for an actor to play
heck yeah
dying, and that she makes the most of her moment, no question. So shout out to her. Final shout out to Sarah. The TV series again could have used that actor in that playing that character as opposed to what they ended
for the
up
replacement.
With.
So
yeah, not bad if you think terrible is not bad. Then I agree with you.
So Sean,
but even if you think it's not bad, by comparison, it's not good.
No, I mean, you got
Douglas's
Sarah
Campbell's.
Douglas, who was Ursa, for God's sake. So
She's great.
She's got this immense amount of
She's in a whole nother
for
league.
her. Agreed.
Yeah.
So so while everybody is, so we go back to our heroes, the resistance fighters are getting ready for their final assault, the final plan.
Julie and Michael are making up.
Julie and Mike are like, hey, look, I know I said some things.
I said this earlier to Joel. This was not only terrible music for the makeup scene, but it was wholly inappropriate for what they were discussing.
Agreed.
It was so weird. I'm watching like, no, because it's a serious conversation.
There's nothing that happens in the history of dramatics in Western civilization from the ancient Greeks until the present day where this music is emotionally dramatically appropriate. It is a terrible music cue that will only make any scene it is a part of worse. And there you have it.
Beautifully timed.
Beautiful fade. That was good. Okay.
And
there's no excuse for it.
So they, so that's going on, and now it's time for, to prepare yourself.
And now, prepare yourself for the final battle.
And here we go. It is on. We have so the visitors amass a whole ambush attack at these Air Force bases, just waiting for our resistance fighters to arrive. Going in, we're looking,
led by Jake/visitor captain.
Led by Jake/visitor captain.
The only visitor character not important enough to be waylaid at a fake attack point.
Yep.
All the others have important things to do.
Yeah. And so he's, they're watching and just going, okay, they're not here yet.
They got their
I know I'm a lizard. I know I'm a lizard, and this is not my home world, but it feels like we're past dawn now.
Dawn's when the sun comes up for the first time, right? When you see the sun.
Right? It's up, right?
I also want to mention, I don't know if we brought this up, and I don't remember if this shows up in the first episode of the final battle, but we finally see not the cockpit, but the mothership
control center of the
control
mothership.
center. Yep. Was it just in this episode?
No, it's been in all three.
Because it's very important later.
Yeah,
so I wanted to say we never saw this in the original. So
correct.
No, we didn't see it in the original. Yeah, no, this is
pretty nifty actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it is.
Nifty might be the right word. It's certainly not cool.
You got that big view?
It's certainly not technologically
wow. Nifty as far as what we've seen in the ship. All we've seen
we
is
see
panels.
Lorraine sabotage the broadcast.
Yeah,
chips.
right. So
and
we
that
have
happens
seen it
in
prior.
that room. So we definitely have seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It is needed. We need to see. We need to establish the control room but it as a set. It feels really.
I always thought it was kind of grand.
Given that this is like a 5-mile long battleship, this as its bridge is extremely unimpressive.
Yep.
This is like a decent sized walk-in closet.
For a ship,
Diane is going tiny house hunting.
It should be cooler. It should feel like it has more than 2 walls because it's a 2-wall set.
I will admit that this is a case of me finding it very grand as a child. And that still carries over for me. I can look at it and be like, those Star Trek buttons with the same Star Trek noises, but
right.
It's still to me like this is really cool.
It's not total crap. I'll give it that.
So we have here's the invasion force. So so meanwhile, we have a tanker strike team. Yep. We have a tanker strike team. They're getting aboard. They steal, they get aboard the mothership, and they're going to pump some of that red dust into the mothership's ventilation system.
Using the aliens own fake chemical ships to do it.
Right.
Kind of neat.
And I think it is notable that this is something being repeated around the world by other resistance groups.
Yes, this is all part of a coordinated attack that takes place.
But are we sure that Ham Tyler's really part of the global network?
Shut up, Ryan Harris.
No, he earned it. He earned it last week, later in the episode. We
discussed this. We've gone past it now.
I felt properly chastised for it. I've moved on.
I didn't think it was a dumb idea. I just thought It just wasn't a thing that actually was true.
So we get so meanwhile, while the strike team is trying to put dust in the ventilation system, we have Ham and Robert and Ham's associate Chris Farber. They're leading the assault on the security headquarters. So they're going after Steven and everybody there. So that's the ground assault.
And I believe at some point in this, Tyler looks to Chris Farber and says, perhaps someday you will live in a home like this. And Chris Farber says, yeah, I know I will. That doesn't happen. Sorry. I don't mean to sidetrack the final battle.
That would be badass if that is.
Chris is awesome. He uses a red dust filled mortar. To just to bomb the crap out of this house.
These are great sequences.
They put together some. Let's talk about the assault on the headquarters on Earth.
Let's just do that. That's the least. It's fun, but it's the least consequential of these.
Yep, and that things. so they they make the assault on there. Eleanor is like, oh, what's going on? Save me! I don't, come on, Steven.
Steven says. This is funny, Michael, something you said in an exchange we had talking about kind of how we were going to structure the episode yesterday made me rethink this scene completely from what I've always understood it to be. You said your exact words were, I would like to hear Eleanor's blubbering. And I was always like, but that's not really much of a payoff because she's not exactly blubbering. She's doing what he told her to do, which is go out there, say anything, and stop them. But you're implying, and I think you're right. So let me finish. You don't have to disagree with me because I am disagreeing with all these years of myself and how I viewed this scene compared to what it actually is, which is I always thought she literally was doing what he asked her to do. And the reason I thought that, and I think it's fair for me to assume that. Steven says, go out there, tell them, make them stop, tell them anything. Yeah. And what she goes out there and tells them, even though you're saying it's completely self-serving and not in assisting Steven, I always thought she was just play acting still on Steven's behalf and on her own behalf, because what she is doing works. It makes them stop the assault. Everybody shuts up. Ham's like, stop shooting. Everybody listens to her rant. They're just waiting patiently. Steven really should be using this opportunity to duck out the back. But for whatever reason, he hears her saying, I'm being held hostage. They say they're going to kill me, that way she can play the damsel in distress and be rescued by the resistance and hopefully skate consequence-free from all of this. That's what you suggest, and I think you're right. I always thought it was all just part of the act, and she was trying to save Steven, and it's why Steven's actions have always seemed bonkers to me. I still think they're kind of bonkers because it's worked. They stopped shooting. She's out on the balcony. He's at the back door. Get out of Dodge, mate. Get out of here. Instead, he's such a jerk that he has to come all the way up to the front of the house, poke his head out the window, and while she's saying whatever she's saying to the resistance fighters, shoot her in the back, Joel.
Yeah. But the thing is...
He ties his own noose when he does that. Whatever her intentions are...
her intentions are what I've always believed, is because that conversation she has with her husband in the original about whoever's in power, that's where we want to be.
Right.
The lizards aren't in power at this moment. The resistance is. So she's just going the route of what she always does. Yep. Whatever's going to make her look good. So I think it's legit.
I think you're totally right. And I just thought otherwise my whole life.
I can see why. I get it. I see that perspective, certainly, Yeah.
But I've had an awakening. I'm like, no, she's just out there. She's just changing sides again.
It is nice.
And Steven, it makes a little more sense now that Steven can't tolerate that and feels he has to shoot her. Yeah. Plus, I'm sure, because I always thought he was just compelled to shoot her because he's just sick of her. And I know that's part of it.
Yeah.
It is part of it. It truly is. He's been kissing this woman's ass and he's sick of it.
And the thing is, it's
he's
that
feeling betrayed by a lover.
Sorry, guys.
But I think what the thing is that this is another great not to the same level as Daniel. She's disgusting as a character.
Right.
But this is a nice moment of like, karma's a bitch. This is what you get.
Yeah, there's a lot of karma coming back to get you.
It's also the thing of if she'd just given Sean the extra cake, then we wouldn't be here.
Yep, probably
just
not.
Too stingy with the cake. That's the lesson.
Another
the resistance fighters
sitting there.
The point
resistance
is
fighters
goodbye.
take the house. They take the room. There's that really cool atrium room with the swastika carpeting.
Yeah,
straight out of a Rise of the Third Reich movie. This part, at least Kenneth Johnson has to be somewhat proud of.
The flag that won't. The flag. I can't get this flag down.
This is before that. This is Stephen's demise.
The
flag, by comparison, is relatively unimportant.
I was getting excited.
Yeah, they get in the room. They kind of clothesline him. He falls over, and Ham stands over him and says, it pours a bunch of red dust on his face and says, "Good night, hotshot." Yeah. And we've seen Brian die of the red dust. We see it even more intense him out on Stephen. He dies even more intensely, writhing around on this symbol of the visitors. And while the camera crane sort of lifts up off of him,
it's gorgeous.
It's incredible.
Because he's littered with all these other visitors that are now dead too. Yep. But the thing that's cool to me, I don't know if you guys see this as the same thing, but all of these, like you're talking about, Ryan, one after one, comeuppance, there's always a little bit more pleasure for me, as far as pleasure would go, of the humans.
More payoff when the humans.
Because these lizard people, they're evil from the get-go. We know that. Right. So there is a little bit extra like, F you, dude, to these people, like especially Eleanor and Daniel.
Not the Bible, obviously. You don't get pleasure out of that, Michael.
Yeah, certainly not. Moving on.
So they we have a great so that's the ground attack. And so then after Steven's dead, they're like celebrating, popping champagne. This flag,
they can't get the visitor flag down, so
Ham's
Ham oozes it down so they can hang the American flag. And Robert is all, I don't know why he's involved in this scene and not some other is beyond me, but
so excited.
But he's thrilled. I mean, we did it. And Ham's like, I hope they did it, or this is going to be a pretty short celebration.
Yeah.
So we cut
I'm sorry, real quick. That's a good bit of writing there, because while as an audience member, we're like, that's exciting, they did it. This is small potatoes. This is nothing, So I like that they actually have that reality check. Like, well, maybe,
maybe
that's good writing,
And so we get up to the ship, prior to this, we have a great little thing where they're trying to figure out if the code they have to be able to land is even going to work. So that's kind of like this great, wonderful, sort of Star Warsian type bit of,
where they fly casually into the
shuttle Tiderian.
Yep. And so they have they get onto the mothership. They start pumping the dust in through the ventilation.
First, they got to take the docking bay, which they do in fairly quick order.
Oh, they take the docking bay, and Mike Donovan with his nuts of power.
He does the nut slide down the.
Which I gotta say,
ships.
I know we're not, which I laughed out loud just with glee when I saw that, and then I was watching some of the series. Now I know we're not going to talk about the series. Opening. It's the last image of the opening credits.
Yeah,
is Mike sliding down, nut sliding this guy, and then and then freeze frame on him like coming up after that. Squatting over the guy, and I'm like, why was this not the greatest show ever? Anyway, so yes, they take the hangar, they're pumping the dust in, they're getting it all it takes some time.
John
obviously.
And Diana are on the bridge, and they're seeing these balloons taking off.
Oh yeah. So on the Earth, that's how they're going to distribute it. It's not via the jets. It is via.
That's so great. John's still like, well, what are they going to do with the jets? And she's like, you idiot! It's not the jets. It's
the balloons.
He's so stupid.
So they said, okay, amazing. we gotta activate the doomsday device here, John. And John's like, why? No, we're not going to do this. What the heck's the point? Let's get out. You're going to be.
It's nice that John in the end is like, what? why bother with that? That's just needlessly destructive and stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're gonna be, and he's like, there you go, Diana. You're gonna be queen of a poisoned realm.
Yeah.
And so then Diana,
Diana took that great.
She did. She went, yeah, but you know what? At least I'll be queen. I'm gonna be good. Oh, hey John. Hey John. By the way.
See ya, bud.
Tip takes care of John, and now
nice knowing you, Supreme Commander.
Yeah.
Way to lip off to an armed Diana.
Yeah, there you go.
Wrong time.
So
an
meanwhile,
armed and a grumpy Diana.
Grumpy Diana.
She says to him, you know, all the intrigue, all your little, you know, plans and your schemes, and I mean, she's killed enough people now that she's just going to shoot everybody who looks at her sideways.
Yep.
And he says that line to her, and of course she just.
Yeah.
She's got his doomsday key. She doesn't need him anymore. She shoots him in the back.
Real quick, we did also forget, they did come up with a antidote or an inoculation.
For the fifth columnist.
So our fifth columnist, Martin and everybody else, they've taken this pill now, so they good with the red dust.
Willie, Lorraine,
Willie.
They are all part of the final assault on the inside the ship.
Yeah.
Harmony, Caleb.
Harmony, who... Harmony.
Yeah, except, you know, Harmony, it's kind of weird. The TV show implies she dies. I always was quite certain she lived through that gunshot. She has that cute little thing she says to him, and we never see her die per se. Which in TV vernacular means you're not dead. I mean, if you're going to die...
Yeah, maybe they were holding it open for her to be in the series, and then it just never...
And maybe she read the script to the series and said, no, thank you.
But I found myself very moved by that moment watching
it. It is great. I mean, Harmony and Willie are...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then they succeeded on that level that we care enough about these people that we like, oh, that's really a bummer.
Her getting shot is a stunner, but... Like I said, I really don't believe the show intends us to believe that she's dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even though the show claims that she did die from that gunshots.
Yeah, but Harmony is
which makes sense. If they weren't going to keep her, why let her live through that and then just shoot her a couple episodes later?
Yeah.
So, and we get
it's another way the show falls down. Yep. Willie without Harmony, it's still cool, but he's not the same.
Yep.
No.
Wilmany, we like Wilmany.
Exactly.
So Martin and the other fifth columnists, you know, some of that assault team meet up with Donovan and everything, and they get to the bridge, where of course little Lizzie is hanging out with Diana. She's witnessed all of this, of course, and Diana is there, and they run in and they look at Diana and they're like. And the shot sort of hits her, but enough to make her just go and drop her gun
and fall down.
And
it just hits her a little bit in the arm. Doesn't really super incapacitate her, but she does sort of clam up and freeze up. Where this is interspersed terribly with all this
balloons.
News footage of all the ships leaving this place around the world.
Yep.
Leaving.
They found, again, same with the old prospector trucks or the old whatever molasses trucks that get wrecked by the bridge after the pumping station is destroyed. You know, from whatever freaking Depression era movie that
that terrible stock footage too of around the world people celebrating.
Yeah, it's not just that it's old and completely out of date for 1984. It's that it's really super famous end of World War II footage that's used in every World War II documentary ever, because there's only so much of it. So, you know, they didn't even find like people celebrating a soccer game or just something where they could have just showed us something. They went right to the most obvious, stupid, worn out 40-year-old footage they could find. And then they had the nerve to write it into the script that it was the biggest celebration since the end of World War II.
Right.
Bad. All of it is bad. It is
at least accompanied by our balloon theme.
The hot air balloons dispersing the red dust is cool if it weren't for the cheesy music.
Yeah.
And
that music is way too happy for. We're still shooting at each other.
We're still fighting, and
Yeah,
so
it's
they're on
way
the
too
bridge,
happy.
and the doomsday device has been activated.
It has been.
And Diana is hanging
Martin
out.
shot like 12 dudes, by the way.
Yeah,
when they
Martin.
Yeah, the bridge is
shoots it.
completely empty at this point. You know, there's
Yep.
nobody. I'm like, where'd you all go?
And
The bridge is empty, but the docking bay has like another group of people that gets down to it. And Caleb picks up the hose of the red dust
Oh yeah.
Yep.
like a cannon and mows them all over with it.
Yep.
Not sure that's how it would work, but it's still a fairly cool moment.
It's
Yeah.
kind of fun. And
Caleb.
so they're like, okay, hey, so we win here, so let's stop this bombing ship.
You can
Let's
make
stop
the
the
music
ship.
go away now.
Okay, let's stop the ship from bombing.
I've had enough of that.
Okay. And they're like, oh, hey, no, once it's started, we can't stop it. It's it's happening.
Yeah, Lorraine, who hasn't said a word,
Mhm.
is explaining all of this to us.
And she's hitting switch. This is one of my favorite moments.
Oh,
though. The entire
Donovan?
thing is that I can't stop it. I can't stop it.
Let me try.
How are you going to
hitting-
try? Have you ever?
Yeah.
When have you ever seen this thing
This
before?
is and he's like, well, if I hit this button, then I'll hit this button.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's got the little
Oh.
push button phone sounds.
Oh my
You
god,
guys,
Oh.
we are just moments from the end of the final battle, and this is the stupid stuff we're having to deal with. It's really frustrating. The chick who plays Lorraine is doing a decent job of playing the urgency of this. Bringing Donovan in to try to operate this alien tech is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I get that the point is that your hero is supposed to be saving the day.
He's
here.
trying
He's not
something.
even-
He's not going to sit back and.
But even he's not able to.
But meanwhile, Martin is taking the mothership away because
he's trying.
otherwise it's going
trying
to
to
destroy the
make it so at least it's not gonna blow up the Earth. But we're
And they're
And
like-
by the way, the footage of
But
it
it
leaving
will.
is
It will.
beautiful.
You guys, it's very implied that he can't get away fast enough. So they're like, "Where are we? How far are we away?" Martin's explaining it,
Not far
and
enough.
Juliet, or not Julie, because she's involved with other matters. But one of our heroes looks at Lorraine, and Lorraine's like, "Nope, that ain't far enough."
Yep.
And you can just tell it's not flying it out of here is not going to work. The ultimate sacrifice.
But that footage of it coming out of the atmosphere is really pretty.
It is very.
Like, it looks
actually,
really, really good.
It actually is very cool effect, isn't it?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
The effects of it moving in space and stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That the space stuff was actually shot with a model, which super makes a difference.
Mhm.
And Diana says, "Julie," or does she? Julie.
Well, no, she says it internally.
Exactly. Julie,
because
some bad.
because of course the big mistake is let's have Julie, who has a connection to Diana, be the one to cover her.
Right.
I mean, I know
Julie's job in the final battle is to keep Diana from doing anything, and
yeah,
and you're hearing her voice, Julie. And I don't know
She's
what she
like-
says to her, but
no,
she's like,
it's something about the monsters here, Julie.
The monster's here, Julie.
Don't move, Julie, or
And-
it'll
and-
see you.
And
It's
she goes through PTSD. She just completely that melts down.
so good.
It's great. It's great.
Because this is what I talked about last episode of, about the, we talked forever about the conversion chamber, but this is another great moment of that wasn't a throwaway. That was very important, and it's pulled off beautifully. And
it is.
I mean, Diana is never more grotesque than in this scene.
Yep.
It's just so icky. And she boots, she gets out.
She gets Julie to freeze frame just long enough. They shoot at her as she's leaving, but they have bigger fish to fry with the doomsday machine.
Yeah.
I also want to bring up one other portion of the montage of all the people watching the ships fly away. Before we totally head to the ending here, but George Morphagan, who played Stanley Bernstein, returns.
Oh my God, this is
for
terrible.
one reaction shot.
Oh, I was so
Michael,
angry.
yeah, Michael, this is my turn.
Oh man, I was mad.
Calm down.
Sorry, this was so irritating to me. I was so
It's okay. There's a reason for it. Anyway, Stanley's back on the neighborhood street. We've never traveled back to that neighborhood or any of this, but they got one of the actors. They got one of the actors to stand there on the street and hold a different actor's hand while the ships are flying away. Now, Michael, I don't know. You shouldn't be mad. The other actor went and took a different gig and didn't come back. So they're doing the best they can.
But then
But it's
why even do it?
Well,
because Bonnie Bartlett is a very specific look. She had a very specific role within the original miniseries.
Yes.
Then don't even bother. It is
so
just
Stanley's
so
standing here with some different woman who we're not supposed to remember is not his wife. There's a website online that that shows the difference between edited versions and not edited versions, and it's sort of lamely written, but I don't want to diss it too much because I find having that information handy really, really useful for doing our episodes and other things. But he's so funny. I think he's playing, whether he's playing or whether he believes this, it's super, super funny. But he believes that is Stanley Bernstein and his mistress. And he has a photo of the two of them, Stanley and mistress, because to him it's clearly not his wife, but he's not looking at it from a production standpoint like you and I are. I don't know if he's trolling us or not.
I was going to say that, look.
Either way, it's really funny. It's a funny idea that Stanley's standing there with his mistress. And
I thought it was like, well, it's his new wife because the torture, the conversion, all of that.
It's supposed to be his same wife. It's only on screen for 2 seconds. You're just not supposed to care.
I know. I'm glad you brought this up. I would have forgotten, Ryan, but I was audibly irritated when we watched this. I'm like, what in the F was that?
Here's my impression. Moment. Here's my impression of Michael, and I'm sorry for the audio listener, but this is what I know happened when that came on the screen. Is Michael went and with the one hand,
because I'd forgotten it, but it was so absurd. Yep. Just so absurd. Anyway. Thank you for bringing that up, Ryan.
Of all the dumb, cheap, we couldn't do it the way we should have things on V the Final Battle. I didn't.
But she doesn't even look like Bonnie Bartlett. No, it's not even a facsimile of her.
Because
it's just a random, roughly the same age woman that they replaced by his side.
Yep. It's probably
this is what I would have wanted. This is only for your video viewers. I would have loved to have them look up and then Stanley turn
have that moment when you're a kid and you're walking along and you think you're holding your parent's hand and then you look up, oh my god, that's it,
who are you? Oh my god, it's so irritating. His mistress.
His mistress. So back up on the Doomsday ship,
I just find it funny that kid was like, I find it interesting
that his mistress was
he had his little moment where he just sort of made up something to make that make sense, which
that is brilliant. It's brilliant.
Funny. So, hey, look, Lorraine can't stop the Doomsday device. For some reason, Mike Donovan can't stop the Doomsday device. There's really only one person who can step in and save all of them. And that's little Lily.
Yeah. Calling Starchild.
Yep, Starchild.
Please report Lizzie to bridge to magically stop
Comes
the
rolling
Doomsday
on
machine.
Up. She gets her sparkle on.
Yep, she sure does.
She grabs hold of the 2 Doomsday keys and sparkles earnestly and intensely. And that sparkle power is enough to stop the Doomsday device. The Sparkle Child wins.
Woo-hoo. Yes. Woo. So that's great. But what made me laugh beyond all of this is the actress, when she stops, she just completely goes, it's very funny. It's not I'm exhausted. It's this is what I think the director wants me to do, that I'm tired. She just kind of goes, just drops her hands. And it's so funny because it's terrible. So,
and what does she say, Michael?
Okay, so here's my impression, because this is how I've seen it in my head all these years, because I haven't seen this in a long time. So, she turns to everyone. Lorraine's there. Mike
She
and
actually
Martin,
gives Lorraine a big hug.
A big hug.
Big fan of Lorraine.
And Lorraine is crying.
Yep.
And she says, Pretinama. And then Julie kind of says, what is that? And Lorraine does this. It means peace. Now, the point I made earlier is there is not that long pause, but in my head, there's always been this extensive pregnant pause before
And she doesn't whisper it. She says, it means peace, like the end of a Folgers commercial. So you really are remembering it much better than it actually is.
No, but she says it. This is my version of it, but it is through tears, so it's not totally declarative. Yeah,
I'll give you that.
But it's like in my head, it was the longest pause, and then which actually is appropriate for what we've just experienced and how they're playing it. But
it means peace.
You could have just said it means peace.
Peace. Is that something that's important to you guys?
Peace.
No, she says it in a very. She sells it like, that's great, but it is. They definitely left a big moment to Lorraine, but I suppose she couldn't have Martin saying it. I don't know what.
Well, yeah, it had to be somebody who speaks the language. It would have been kind of creepy if Julie would have went, it means peace.
I bet Mike probably knew. He knew how to get rid of the doomsday. He thought he did. So maybe he knew. It would have been great if he would have stepped in and said, it means this.
It would have been great if he went.
Nut sliding, Mike Donovan.
He goes, Donovan goes, I think it means sparkle. No, okay.
So Star Child saving the day through magic.
Yep. And
we all cool with that?
We have our, no, I'm not cool with that. That was very bizarre.
But we do get a shot of Diana escaping in a shuttle, which is important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And 2, we see the doomsday or the mothership going back
Heading
in
back to
and
Earth.
an exact rewind of the scene we just saw. By the way.
Martin literally because our hero.
It's actually the rewind is them leaving Earth. This is the footage that's used again from earlier,
Pamela,
where it's coming from Pamela's spaceship, just with happier music.
Yeah, with the little.
Oh man.
But we get.
It is a terrible ending. I mean,
yeah, it's not good at all.
As a kid, though, it was another one of those. I'm forgiving this. I am so on board.
Well, it's got some cool action, and if you're gonna sell magic Star Child bullshit, I mean, you almost need this because what they've set up is I don't know. I mean, I agree it's bad. I agree with you, Joel, but I'm sitting here as a writer myself going, what else do I do here?
Mm-hmm.
What can I think of something better?
They painted themselves into a corner where the only answer was a Deus Ex Machina, right. and that's what they had to do.
But
and so
on the other hand, this is another interesting thing to see from the moment that Brian and Robin had sex. This is the outcome, which if you look at it from the perspective of how are we going to beat the aliens?
Yeah.
Well, it's because we have an alien human hybrid that they did as a jokey experiment,
which
and
is
now
Diana's
this is coming
fault.
around.
Yeah,
it's
we
kind
have
of interesting if you look at it that way.
One of which taught us how to kill you, and the other one saved us from your doomsday device.
Yeah, and all of that was because of Diana going, "I want you to seduce her." And so Diana.
So this is all from one of Diana's power plays.
Yep, this is a petard moment.
It's because of her temper.
She's been hoisted. Yep. So we have so Mike and Julie on the bridge of the ship.
Hug
and
they Martin stands and looks at them awkwardly and kind of dejected.
Martin, and a little bit too long. Like
he's
Martin's
dejected, man.
Yeah, Martin's like,
but
I sort of feel like Martin was like, I could get in on that. But
I mean, Faye Grant is also an attractive person, so
yes,
maybe.
And so we get, and he says, Martin, take us home. And that is, of course, that is the end.
That's your home now too, Martin.
Yeah, Martin, that's your home.
I hope the antidote lasts so long.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, let's hope it doesn't have side effects on the humans either.
Those balloons have poisoned the entire planet with it.
Yes, they have. And we get the end of, and little Lizzie is just, is she happy about it? We don't know. She has no
she's
expression.
Sparkling. She's got to be pretty happy.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that of note here is that exactly what Ryan said a little bit earlier. It's like based on the intensity of what we talked about in the original and in maybe the first episode of the final battle, kind of moving on, to have it end with this immense amount of cheese is it's a disappointment. It's like, I love it to death. I will never not love all of this.
Well, I like it too. It's a big ending, and you need to have that. Again, I'll go back to the novel. I don't know why nobody cares about the novel, but
I read it.
But I read that novel
ago.
like twice when I was a kid because
I read it once. Yeah.
Yeah, in the novel, all she just sits there and types a little bit, and what she does is she puts the timer of the doomsday thing on a loop so that it starts counting back the other way, so that
that's what Elizabeth does.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And when you're reading the book, you're like, what? That's it? Like, that is so anticlimactic that you are wanting the sparkles to come back, literally. So, like I say, I don't like it, and I like it less every time I see it. And at the same time, I don't have an answer for it. It's like even as cheesy as it is, it needs something magical to end on. Mm-hmm. And without that, you really do feel like it's not enough.
Well, I know they wanted the happy Hollywood ending, but I really would have liked if they would have done what they did at the end of the original, where it's the battle, we won the battle, but the war is just beginning. Right. Because if you look at what they are going back to,
just beginning.
Exactly. Then from a perspective of storytelling, they are returning to an SAHIT show. Like it's a horrible situation they're coming back to. They don't know how long the red dust is going to work. They don't know if it reached all the visitors. They don't know if it's going to hurt them. There are so many unknowns that they're going back to. I would simply say, hey, Martin, let's go. Let's just go.
The TV series deals with in the dumbest ways imaginable.
Yep. I mean, here's the thing is, even if we would have seen Elizabeth sparkle at one other point in her, even if we the audience, even if we the audience,
she could have sparkled her little play set back together after
dying.
That's a perfect idea. Yeah.
Or even what popped in my head was she walks in, and her pajamas are too close, and there's what's her face, the little kid playing with the dolly.
She can't sparkle during the "Let's kill Katie" scene.
No, but if we saw the beginning of the sparkle then
she can't sparkle to kill a baby and then sparkle to save humanity.
I'm just saying, if there was one other moment where we saw her sparkle for some reason,
I agree with Ryan. When Diana knocks her toys over, she magically puts them back up. That would have given us an inclination that this girl's got these special powers.
Yeah, and that would have.
I think you're right. I would buy the sparkle more if we had.
No, Diana would have had to. You're right. Diana would have had to leave or turn her back or something.
Yeah.
If
she
Diana,
couldn't do it in front of Diana.
No, you can't.
No, she would have killed her right there.
No, splash, and she walks out.
I don't know that she would have killed her, but she couldn't have done it in front of her. That part.
Yeah, and then little Lizzie sparkles and puts everything back together. Just something so that
I agree.
It could come out of nowhere for our heroes. For everyone else there, it could come out of nowhere for that.
Agreed.
But for us as the audience, if we would have just seen it one other brief moment where
I understand the convention, the trope, and the rule that you're talking about. I still think it would have been just as stupid.
Probably. But I'm just saying, maybe it would have been
a little step to help you with a giant leap you still have to take ultimately, which.
I mean, there is the mystery. I mean, I think that I can buy the fact that this kid is a brand new species. So, we're going to continue to learn what this thing's capable of,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not against buying that. Like, I'm like, okay, she has these superpowers. Yeah, it looks cheesy as heck, but all right, I can let that go. She's not a human. So
all right. So please join us again next year when we take 5 weeks and do this again.
We're gonna revisit V every spring.
Every year we're gonna revisit V.
Oh my word.
Really we do. Thank you for these last 5. Hey Ryan, remember when we thought we'd do this in 2 shows?
Well, we got to remember that deep dives are pretty much minute for minute what the thing is. I don't know why I ever dreamed that this could be otherwise.
But I hope that you, the listener, and you, the viewer, have enjoyed this even just a little bit as much as we have. Michael,
and I hope that the conceit that as we walk through the where's, what's, and who's, that you really do get, because I do every time we do this for whatever we do it with. And I certainly with V and talking with Michael and Joel and hearing their insights and their emotional reactions, but mostly thematically and what is good interconnective scripting and, you know, storytelling tissue. This at its worst is full of that, which is really, really cool. And I believe that when we talk through stuff this way, that stuff gets revealed to us. And I believe in the power of that. So I hope that it is kind of worth it in the end. You're not all V super fans like us, but here you go. This is as close to a definitive statement on those 5 episodes as you're likely to ever hear from any 3 people.
I agree. I mean,
that.
There's no stone left unturned here. I mean,
no, there really isn't.
Other than, you know, Robin Mack. Forget it. I don't even want to talk about her anymore.
Unless of course, Blair Tefkin, you are a fan of the movie show with Joel and Ryan, then if you want to come on, we will gladly. If any of you listeners know Blair,
I would love Blair Tefkin to come on and debate all of particularly because I was the meanest to Robin. But to have
to Robin, but you were very complimentary of Blair.
Oh no, Blair Tefkin was
Blair.
fantastic. But I'm saying, as far as I would love to have Blair come on and go like,
defend Robin.
Yeah, wouldn't that be
what's
fun?
she gonna say? Well, that's how they wrote it. What do you want, dude?
Yep.
Shut up.
Yeah, but she made her own personal acting choices that might have given us insights into what she believed Robin was all about. So, you know,
right. But that work, I think, is pretty praiseworthy for the most part.
Yeah.
No, really, there aren't many bad performances in V. I guess
there's
what
not.
I'll say.
And
Sean,
with this revisit,
of the adults,
the kids aren't the best. That's true.
Because not every kid can be Polly.
Joanna Kearns sucks it hardcore, but we know that she's not a crappy actor. She really was given a terrible scene. Other than that,
they're all pretty solid. And like some of the bigger moments, particularly from Faye Grant, from Blair Tefkin, from Daniel Packer. David Packer. I think those are some standouts of like just high letting go emotions and just going for it, you know?
So I guess just to put a cap.
Then there's the smoothness of Michael Ironside and Andrew Prine, and that's awesome.
And the absolute hot bitchery of Jane Badler. That's all.
It's true. Yeah, Jane Badler.
It's nothing without her.
Nothing without her. All right. So I guess to put a cap on it, I hate to speak for you guys. You guys should also chime in. We like V.
It made a huge impression on our little kids, and we're geeks enough that we've revisited it enough throughout the years that not constantly. You hadn't seen Final Battle in a long time, you said, but
yeah.
Once I taped it off of TV, it got into the play the tape in the background rotation.
Well, I feel like
I watched this final shootout on the landing bay like a jillion times when I was a kid.
Sure. Okay, so we hope you have enjoyed this immense, giant deep dive into V, the original miniseries, and V, the final battle. Of course, please reach out to us at the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan Facebook page, Ask Joel and Ryan on Twitter and Instagram, and the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan page on YouTube, which, of course, if you are watching this and seeing my glorious Mark Singer wig, which I can't believe I have to not wear. I may just wear this from every episode now.
I'm vacuuming.
This might be it for me. But we thank you all so very much for joining us. Michael, once again, thank you, Michael, for being part of this.
So thrilled. Hope to have you back later in the summers for more science fiction goodness.
Yeah,
I would be on. I already told you that I would have burned your homes down if you wouldn't have involved me in this. So
that's true.
There's never any doubt.
Never even in consideration.
Nope.
All right, everybody. That is going to do it this week for the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. We'll see you next week in a non-V capacity. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. Remember, all views and opinions represented in this podcast are personal and belong solely to the speaker and do not represent those people, institutions, or organizations that the speaker may or may not be associated with, unless explicitly stated. None of these views and opinions were intended to malign or deceive. And now, here's the producers, circa 1982, to play us out.
Pretty Nama.
It's not in our destiny.
Pretty Nama.
No.